Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This is Football. Welcome to another special edition show, ladies and gentlemen. When we went live earlier for the whole MacAllister news, me and Tom, we told you guys we're going to be back at 11 p.m. to do this video right here. The Klopp Out Brigade is making its return to the ring today, and we're here to have that conversation. Before I even get started, before I introduce, before I even say like and subscribe, let me just say this. To all the people who are butthurt on this channel, we've always allowed different opinions, as crazy as they are. I've allowed people to say Scholes is better than Gerrard. If I allow people to say that, then I'm gonna allow people to be Klopp out if they want to. So, you know, my thing is, I'm never going to cancel a person for his opinion or tell him you're not a Liverpool fan or go support City, because that's just not my style. I'd rather debate them. That's just how football opinions work. So we respect all opinions as much as we disagree with them over here. And yeah, bro, we've heard people say they want to sell Salah, they want to sell Van Dijk, they want to sell Trent. Like, come on, man, being Klopp out ain't that deep, because we did fail this season, to be fair. Anyway, everyone watching us right now, please don't forget to slap the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're ready to do so, or on the replay if you're watching this on the replay as well. Same thing. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to This is Football. Keep letting me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. Get involved. Now, the leader of the KDL has bottled it, aka Kurdish, aka willing to defend Klopp with his entire life. He's bottled it. So, in typical WWE fashion, I went and I got myself a partner. My partner in crime promised he's going to be active today. Not active on that application on his phone. He's going to be active on the stream right here, right now. He ain't going to leave me to fight two people by myself. So joining us on the channel is also a member of the Club Defense League, none other than Rax. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Listen, I'm starting to get a bit of a bad reputation for this. I'm definitely not going to leave you on your own. We'll make our points. They'll make our points. We'll have a fun debate. As I said, all opinions can and should be welcome, and we're all friends, right? So people are allowed to have different opinions. People have different opinions in life about everything. So yeah, and if eventually Kurdish does get his ass into gear and makes it over here, then fair enough. It'll be me and Kurdish, and you can just be the neutral moderator. You can sit on the fence as you often say. I sit on the fence.
I was supposed to be the moderator, but Kurdish is a bottom job. You know what they're saying in the replies. This is what they're saying in the replies when I did the announcement. Rax is just gonna sit back and watch Kurdish get cooked. That's what they were saying. So I hope we don't do this for me now.
No, for sure. No.
Big up, Rax, man. Big up. Nice hat as well today. Rocking something different. Your gym thing just big up copyright infringement. So yeah. Anyway, we've got two returnees on the channel today. It's been a long time since we've had them on the channel. I was actually speaking to both of them separately as well, telling them about how I want to get them back on the channel as well. Funnily enough, you know how YouTube recommended, you sometimes you just be getting some old stuff, and I was scrolling through, and I saw there was a guy who had like a Liverpool channel. He stopped uploading, and I saw a video from Jerry James from a year ago, and I'm like, man, like, why did we even stop doing content together? We didn't even fight or nothing. Like, what the hell? I have no idea. Sometimes it just stops for no reason whatsoever. But joining us on the channel is the man known as Baba Ray Dudley of the of the 3D boys, none other than the man, the myth, the legend, first member of the Klopp Out panel. I think he'd rather be Baba Ray Dudley than Henderson, which I used to call him. Man like Jerry James is joining us on the channel. How you doing, bro?
What's going on? Coming for smoke today. I'm happy to be on. Great always, obviously, to be on Hassam's show. Big up to Rax as well. Big up to everyone in the comments. And yeah, man, not everything is what meets the eye in life and in football. So it'll be interesting to have this debate. I think some people probably get our perspective. Well, myself and the person who's going to come on after me, but yes, it's going to be a good one. So looking forward to it, man.
Can't wait, my brother. Welcome back. I said Jerry got the tables. Yo, that sounds good as well. You know, your name could be like a wrestler name. You know.
Yeah.
Jerry James, that's a good wrestling name as well. You know, that's definitely catchy. Joining us as well is a man who's actually been doing a whole lot of scouting on YouTube lately. I see myself tuning into his videos. He's doing the breakdowns. He's speaking about all these potential summer targets. I was actually surprised. He's a lot more excited about Gabby Vega than he is a couple of players who are linked. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I hear your perspective. I understand. But he's an unbelievable content creator as well, just like Jerry. On his channel, doing a whole lot of scouting for our targets. He actually could probably make it on the Liverpool board, if he wanted. I mean, it's better than the guys recommending Mason Mount to Klopp. So joining us on the channel is a man making his return to the ring. Man like G. How you doing, bro?
I just want to start off by saying, both for Sam and Rax, for this show only, I do not like any of you two, so there will be beef. No, joking. No, joking. No, it's all common, man. It's always love. You said it there, man. At the end of the day, don't really care about someone else's opinions. We're all Liverpool fans. all four of us have got something in common, which is even people in the chat who are going to hate us by the end of this. We all want Liverpool to do well. So it don't really even matter what any of us really say. So let's dive into it, man. Hope you guys are good.
100%. Listen, people are always welcome to have opinions on this channel. We're not that type of channel, man. We open debate over here. By the way, great news. Kurdish has GM'd me. He just woke up from his damn nap, so he's going to join us in 5 minutes. So, the leader of the KDL is here because, listen, if you guys think I'm shameless, when it comes to defending Klopp, this guy will just go to the umpteenth degree. He will ride out for every single decision. We had a 15-minute argument with him on the Trent substitution against Wolves, and his argument was maybe he had an injury, and he actually ran with it for 15 minutes. So, it is what it is with Kurdish, but he's going to be joining us soon. Chombe, who's actually a Liverpool fan since the 80s, is saying Klopp out all day, every day. I support LFC, not Klopp. Fair enough, Chombe.
So we started already.
Yeah, it started already. See how the people support you as well. Big up to you, Chombe, for the super chat. Listen, already 150 people in here. We ain't even started yet. Slap the like, subscribe. Minimum 100 likes. So let's just get into it. I'll go to Jerry first, then G. We just chime in. We speak about it. Why are you Klopp out? Let's just get to the bottom of this.
Look. There's so many.
Hey, Jerry, do us proud, bro. Do us proud.
Yeah, there's so many avenues I can attack this from. I think, simply put, if I was to just put it in layman's terms, I don't think Liverpool go back to being where they were before. I feel like we've hit our peak with Klopp. So ultimately, that's the argument. Everything else is now secondary. We can look at reasons as to why that is, as to why I think, certain things aren't going to go and happen. And we're probably going to go into that in a bit more depth. But when I look at it, there's more evidence to suggest he won't be able to go and reach the heights yet again and rebuild a squad than there is that he can. So when I look at it just from a logical standpoint, it does not make any sense to go and have this kind of perceived notion that Liverpool's 100% going to be back to where they were again. All we need is a couple of signings and yet we're back at the top. I don't think football works like that. I don't think life works like that. I think sometimes there needs to be more dramatic changes to go and spark kind of movements in one direction or another. I just don't think that's going to happen under Klopp. Where to go from there? I mean, if I go down the rabbit hole, we'll start speaking about one aspect of it, but I'll probably just pass that on to G now. You're probably echoing what I'm saying. I think that's the main point that we've got.
Before G just presents the case as well, he's here. We can't have this debate without the leader of the KD. We just can't. I'm gonna be story with you guys, and I just realized seeing him in the background, I'm actually the only one on here without a cap. I'm gonna be the first person on here with a cap when I go bald soon for Bellingham. Thanks, Liverpool.
Yeah, but don't think you're gonna get away with it as well.
I'm waiting. Listen,
I'm waiting. Don't worry, I'm running my word. Listen, I'm just waiting for Real Madrid Comunicado Oficial Jude Bellingham. As soon as I see that, boom, we're gonna get the ball.
Is it coming? Is it going to be live like Gillette Fusion? Just big, no water. Just
yes, 100. What? No water?
Ooh, your head's gonna
Come on, man.
No water.
I said no water. That's wild. That's wild right there. Joining us on the channel is a man who is the KDL absolute leader. So if there's anyone ready to fight for his man like this, I don't think anyone's as ready as this guy to fight for Klopp. So now I can just be the unbiased host. So joining us on the channel is, of course, the man who flew out the Klopp-in plane above Anfield, FSG out. Man like Kurdish has joined us. How are you doing?
Hey, big up. Yeah, not personally. I wasn't the one flying it personally. I'm still practicing my drone. That's for next season. John Henry is finished. It's practice season this summer. It's practice season. So once the season starts, it's over. But yeah, man, good to be back as always. I was hearing across Twitter that because MacAllister is so cheap, maybe Jude is still alive. Maybe Jude can still walk through the door. And I thought
Don't do it to
if
yourself,
that
man. Don't do it to yourself.
if that happens, I need to pull out my pen and paper and start writing a letter to Linda. And I need to apologize because we've gone into her summer fund too much, and because we've gone into a summer fund, we need to apologize. So I thought we'll have to think about that too. But yeah, man, good to be on with you gentlemen as always, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Shout out Linda, man. Shout out Linda. Big up Momo as well. As soon as Kurdish walked in, he's just like, Klopp in until I die. But he should be criticized. That's very, very kind of confusing right there. Because, you know, okay, we can criticize him, but damn, you Klopp out till you die. That is real loyalty right there. Chambe is doubling down on both what G and Jen are saying. He's saying he's an old school supporter, but I can't be Klopping after he called the fan base spoilt brats. I watch my team chase Everton in 85, 86 and win. G, go ahead, my brother, because I know you wanted to as well back up what kind of Jerry was saying.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's that. I think he's come in, he's done the job that he said he was going to do. He's done the job that I thought he would kind of do, which is get Liverpool to that top of the mountain. And I think, honestly, I'm just bored of him. Like, I'm just, everything he does, everything he kind of says, but not even just that. I think it's just, obviously we'll get into it, but like the football side of things. I think last season, obviously, well, the season that we just finished, obviously we can pick the holes. And I think, yes, that's the easiest thing, I think, for me to do, which is to every week we can be like, oh yeah, well, this was crap, blah, blah, blah. He did this, he did that. But I think it's more some of the things that he's been doing more or less kind of since he got here. And ever since he got here, I've never really felt the sense of, you know, this is the guy who's going to almost take us over that mountain. I always felt like he could be someone to take you to the top because of how good he is. But to say he can take you over that mountain, I always looked at it and I thought to myself, forget Manchester City because they're just an anomaly in this world of football. But when you look at it, sometimes you always need something a bit different that's going to take you to another place. And I just think that's what it is with Klopp. It's nothing to do with hate. I don't think Jerry hates him. You know what I mean? I don't think we're sitting here saying, oh, we hate Klopp. It's definitely not that. Obviously, you just got to thank him for everything he's done. But I just think there's a time and a place. And he's had his time, and it's now the place to, you know, get something else and get something new. But we'll dive into it properly.
Go on, Rax. Go on. Don't be waiting.
Look, like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and if people think that Klopp has reached the pinnacle and that he has nothing more to give and we can't do it again, then I understand that perspective. I just think he is one of the. I don't think anybody here disputes he's definitely one of the best managers in the world. Probably top. It's definitely top 5, probably top 3 in the world. So the question is, are you better off sticking or twisting? Because whatever's happened in the past has happened in the past. You can use that as an indicator to move forward, but ultimately, there's no guarantees either way. Whether we stick with Klopp or wherever Klopp goes, I mean, he's not going to go. Look, I think we can all realistically say Klopp is not going to leave next now until, you know, he'll have next season. So to some extent, this is the hypothetical, but I think he's both earned an opportunity to make good some of the mistakes that have happened this season. The sounds that are coming out and some of the words that he said have supported the fact that he's changed some of his opinions. He's obviously, look, no one expected us, I don't think, to be as bad as we've been this recent season. And and I hope it has come as a shock to everybody involved. Because one thing G did say is sometimes you need a shock, sometimes you need something to hit you like a freight train or whatever you want to call it. And this season, I hope that's been the shock to the system. That's been a sufficient or big enough shock to the system to make everybody say, wake up. We can't just like sit here and expect this, expect to run it back again and again and again. Everybody needs to look at themselves. Everybody needs to analyze their roles, and everybody needs to be contributing. And I still think Klopp has plenty to contribute. Aside from the fact that, in terms of other candidates, I don't think there's anybody anywhere near as strong as who's got that kind of track record that Klopp has. We can talk about rebuilding squads and things like that, but I'm sure we'll discuss that at some point later on today as well. But I'm Klopping. I remember middle of the season, I said I'm going to give Klopp until the middle of next season. And people, when I said that, everyone was like, "You're going to give him until the middle of next season? What's going on?" I'm going to give him until the end of next season, and I'm going to put a time limit on it now, and then we'll see where we are. And we should never be the guy Chombe who said I support Liverpool and not Klopp. That's absolutely right. We're all Liverpool supporters first and foremost. It's just the question, the way that we think is going to maximise the potential of this Liverpool team and also take us forward beyond Klopp as well. And I think at least for the next couple of years, Klopp is the best chance that we have to get back to where we were and put us on a steady footing also moving forward.
Just before Kurdish goes, we actually have two super chats from rivals here, non-Liverpool fans. Felipe is a Newcastle fan. He says, pure stupidity if you're Klopp out. Enjoy irrelevancy with FSG. You got lucky with Klopp. No other manager overperforms with FSG. Klopp to Newcastle. Big up Felipe for the super chat. We're going to, now I think Kurdish is probably going to back the super chat in a second. And here to there, who's an Arsenal fan, says, yes, Klopp out. We'll appreciate him at the Emirates. That is absolutely wild. Chombe says, even King Kenny won 3 league titles as a manager. But Chombe, those were kind of the glory years. Like, I don't think it's fair to kind of compare that because I think it's just 2 totally different contexts. But I'm going to let Kurdish go. Kurdish, go ahead, my brother. What do you want to say on this whole comment?
I'd like to say, actually, I'm glad that the 2 members you got on from the opposing side are 2 members that have stuck by their view and they didn't flip-flop throughout the season, like Mr. Little, who's not with us today, because I actually had evidence. I came with loads of tweets.
Kurdish, Tom Little asked to be on the show. I told him you flip-flop too much. I swear
Where
to God,
is he? Where is he? Yeah. Because I had screenshots of him with Jürgen Klopp with a highlight saying, "You've pulled me back in," only for the week after, where he posted a photo of Xavi Alonso. So I'm glad you've got 2 members that actually stand by their word and represent the side well, even if I disagree with them. So big up JJ and big up G man always. But I think where I am, I sit with an argument that I had with you, Hussam. I'm of the view, and I hate it, but root cause is more relevant, and we're seeing it being more relevant on the day-to-day now than it was when I first started shouting root cause like a crazy Kurdish man that just was found in the middle of the street in September, and you picked me up, Hussam. Just, root cause, the problem with this club is root cause. It's still more relevant now than it was then. And the reason it's more relevant is because we're going in the market, and whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, because of his previous action, before we've even started the market, they've already decided they're not backing the manager. So by giving him an ultimatum of Jude or 3, whether you like it or not, that's the actual definition of not backing the manager. That in itself is not backing him, because if you are backing him, you're saying, here's what you need, Jude, which is what you've been shouting about and have had your pom-poms out for the last three years, doing JUDE and then sacrificing season after season, all right? When you've had this for the last 3 seasons, so we'll give you this, but we'll realize because of the mistakes you've made or that we've made across the board, we'll also give you what else is needed for you to feel like you can compete. And actually, whether you like it or not, that's not happened. They've given him an ultimatum, and the ultimatum that they've given him is telling you that the market that we're in is in that B level tier. So you're already there. So to me, when we sit here and say the expectation on Jurgen Klopp next season is in your situation, Hussam, is to go and win a title.
Oh, so you think the smart thing to do is to make me turn on you from the beginning? Is that
No,
the
no, I'm just listen. I'm here to get it all off my chest. You know, this is it's not more therapy, but it's still Monday night, and I'm here.
true?
So
That is true.
for me, it's where do you set the line? Because your expectation is on the managers to go and win a title next season, when we've both acknowledged that the manager is going into a market where it's the B level market, where them players are not ready to get you to win a title because they're not ready-made players. And then the expectation is in 5 months' time, when he doesn't produce off miracles again, you're going to sit here and say to me, Jurgen Klopp, we need to have serious conversations about him. And I'm telling you now, whether Klopp is there or not, whether it's Klopp as G and JJ would not like it to be, or whether it's Klopp, like I say, that fundamental problem still remains. So if I'm getting Jurgen Klopp on, all of a sudden I'm not going to start going for talents that can get me back to a position where I can win titles again. Whoever I bring in right now, whether it's Jurgen Klopp or it's a different manager, the kind of targets that we're going to address are still going to be players that are not ready for you to go win a title. So the next 12 to 24 months, you are in a transition season. It's as horrible as you want to say. You're in a transition stage, whether that's Jurgen Klopp or that's where there's a different manager. And fundamentally, the question is, do you believe that Jurgen Klopp is the guy or he's not? In my eyes, he is. That doesn't actually take away from the fact that I would like him to understand and know when to keep his mouth shut. That absolutely, this season more than any season has been the one season where I thought Jurgen Klopp needs to just learn to keep his mouth shut. We don't need a response every time. But actually, when I take all that away, the question, if you strip everything off, it's with the targets that we're going for, can any other manager actually do better than Klopp next season? What do you guys think?
If I'm being honest, yes. I mean, when we looked at, if we use Arsenal as an example, no one here at the beginning of this season thought that the players that Arsenal signed would have propelled them to any title charge. And Sam was backing them today, saying that they had a great season, albeit, and United, who won a title of some sort, had a worse season. So you don't know.
That's the Carabao Cup, though. Come on.
Yeah, it's the Carabao Cup, exactly. But regardless, I'm saying that they went, in regards to Arsenal, obviously their challenge for a title were top for 93% of the season. I'm pretty sure, I don't want to speak for G, but I'm pretty sure that myself and G, who are Klopp outers in this case, would have been happy this season, or we wouldn't even be screaming anything, wouldn't be saying anything we wouldn't be really having this debate if we were top for 94% of the season and we fell short at the last hurdle. Like, that still would have been a decent season considering Liverpool's kind of standards that they've set. So when I look at it, I just don't feel that what Liverpool have done has been momentous. And what I mean by that is, when we're looking at it now historically, we have not gone and been able to go and topple City, and that has got to be the goal. The goal has to be to topple City. I understand your point in regards to, and we can speak about that because I've got my own opinions on kind of FSG and stuff, but the spend and all of that, the man has signed a contract knowing the conditions in which he signed for. He knows that this is how much I'm allowed to spend. This is the parameters in which I work with. He's not been blindsided by this. It hasn't been Tuchel at Chelsea where, there's an ownership change and they're now relaying a different message to him that was relayed, that was actually that he had to adhere to before. It's nothing like that. He knew when he came in, he knew the situation of Liverpool. He got them to a certain situation. He then signed an extension, knowing, like, for the last 4 years, knowing what the system was, what the deal was, essentially working under FSG, and is required to go and garner the same success. If he feels he's not up to it, any normal individual would be like, look, hey, I'm not doing this then. He signed a contract. So I use the analogy of a cake. If I went and asked Hussam to make a cake, right, and I asked you to make a cake, I just want the end product. I just want a cake. Hussam might say, you know what, I'm going to make my cake without eggs. and I'm gonna use the cheap butter from Aldi or Lidl. You might decide to go to Marks and Spencer's, use eggs.
Hey,
Do you know what I mean?
Lidl is fine.
No, it is. But
So-
however, whatever way you go about making that cake, whether you use a stand mix or you hand mix it, we're expecting a certain result. And I think that for Liverpool fans, for where we've gone and achieved, and for the standards that I set on Klopp, and that's what it is as well. It's the standards I set on Klopp. This season is unacceptable. In any, we're not talking about a drop off where we're second, even third the whole season. It's like, oh my god, how we've gone from a quad to third. We were down in 8th and 9th and 10th. In any other walk of life, if you were Hussam, I know you're working at engineering. Kurdish, I'm not sure what you do, but I'm pretty sure at work, if your manager had a performance like Klopp had, he would. This is the only industry where he can get another season to try it all again. Another season to try it all again, because we try to separate the fact that football's not really a business, but we need it to be a business if you want to be successful. It's a weird conundrum. I just think that if we put our logical thinking caps on, we've done the same thing with Brendan Rodgers. We almost won the league once. We went and signed a hell of a lot of players. October came and we saw an opportunity and acted. And I just feel like with Klopp, is there
who's the opportunity though? Who's that guy? Who's the manager? Like
who's the manager? If we're talking about the manager, this is what it is. Sorry to interrupt, Rax. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who the manager is, but at the end of the day, I'm a fan. What I don't want to go and sit down and kind of accept is that, and a lot of people have actually said it in the chat, that once Klopp leaves, Liverpool are back down in the dark. Like, if I believe that, then what's the point of supporting Liverpool then?
JJ, can I ask you a question?
I believe Liverpool can still go and achieve great things because of what's been put in place, because of how good I think the foundations I believe that Liverpool had in place were good enough for anyone to come and build upon that. When Bill Shankly left, do you know what I mean? Everyone thought it was mayhem. Bob Paisley came in and took them to new heights. There's documentaries about where there's Liverpool fans crying in the streets saying, "Oh my God, what's going to happen now?" And it was the same type of scenario, that the whole belief that there's nothing outside of Klopp. If you believe that, then essentially you are Klopp over Liverpool. The whole point of supporting the team is going into every season thinking, yeah, we can do better than the last team. And I think that's what I believe like every Liverpool fan should kind of be headed for anyway.
Before we signed Jurgen, and there were rumours. Do you remember we got rid of Brendan, and there was Klopp was in the market. On the market, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in your mind, you knew that Klopp was what you wanted. Would you say that's accurate?
I wanted Ancelotti, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I wanted Ancelotti because I was sick of just the idea of a project. I wanted someone of stature to come in and kind of galvanize the club. Obviously, Klopp's worked out, so I'm never taking that away, and I always kind of relay the same message again. Klopp is a ridiculous manager. When you look on the face of it, what he's achieved is ridiculous. But that doesn't mean that there isn't life after Klopp, or that you need to go and move these players on. The same way we're talking about players and talking about Henderson, whether it's Fabinho, Mane, whoever it is, some of our favourite players, right? And we said we need to move on, we need to stop being too sentimental. I have that same kind of attitude towards the manager. That's not to take away. There'll be statues built of Klopp, 100%, 1,000,000%, and rightfully so. But I do believe that, look, anything can come in. Pep, what we've spoken about before, I disagree with this notion. But hey, if Pep Linders went and stayed, you don't know what could happen if Pep Linders was manager. You just don't know until it happens. You don't know. De Zerbi could come in and he could revolutionise what Liverpool are doing. You just don't know. There's so many managers out there on the market. You just don't know how they're going to go and work. You don't know until they come in.
Where I stand on it, I think if we go back to that time where Rodgers got sacked, I think the majority of people would either been Klopp or Ancelotti, like yourself, Jerry. They were the two names. I look on the market today, and now I think we have more understanding of how we run as a club, because at the time it was still quite young for Fenway, and we understand the limitations that come with being a Liverpool manager and all these things that are there. I can't sit here and honestly say how I did before we signed Klopp. As you say, I would have said Klopp, Ancelotti, they're the two names. I can't see any manager that I can just roll off my tongue like that could work under these owners.
But do you know why you think that is though?
Go
It's
on.
because you've experienced success. It's like having your first girlfriend or never having a girlfriend before, getting your first girlfriend and then feeling there's nothing else after that. There's nothing else after that. And rightfully, us as fans, we just didn't know. We were down in the doldrums.
There was
We
5
thought we
things
were gonna
after
get
that
there
for
with-
me.
Yeah, we were in a long talking stage with Brendan Rodgers. We thought we were going to get, the question was going to get popped to us. It never did. It fell at the last moment. We're now then, thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen here? Someone comes in and we're like, fine, we're going to have to go and move on because he's gone. Because I know for a lot of people, even with Brendan Rodgers, I know many Liverpool fans that didn't want to go and get rid of Brendan Rodgers. They were saying it's too early. They were saying give him till January because of all the signings he made. So it was the same kind of notion. But because we've experienced this success, understandably, it's difficult to go and see a life of, oh my God, well, if these players go and the manager goes and this person goes and that person goes, where are we going to go next? Where are we going to go next? But for me, I look at it and think the foundations that these players, the manager, even FSG have gone and put forward in place means that Liverpool, if they're run correctly, which regardless of whether you think they're spending a lot of money or not, they are run correctly, they should be able to go and sustain a certain level of success. I just think this season, more than anything, has proved that it hasn't been due to money spent. We're not talking about, why haven't we won we're not sitting here discussing why we didn't win the Champions League again or why did we fought for the title again. We probably would have been sitting there and saying this. We're talking about why were we in 9th and 10th. For me, that's criminal. And any other top team, Barca, Bayern, Real Madrid, whoever, for Boca Juniors, like whoever in their league, they wouldn't have allowed that to happen. They would have never allowed it to happen. But Liverpool, because of this whole sentimentality, because of this kind of, this club means more, the attachment we've got to Klopp, the players, the fans, this whole kind of community that we've got, it's difficult for us to go and see it as that type of transaction. And we don't know. You've seen it with Aston Villa. Aston Villa got rid of a manager that weren't performing well. Unai Emery came in. No one would have thought that they would have been where they ended up in the season. And I know I'm looking
Could they use the different managers, to be fair?
Yeah, De Zerbi's another one though. De Zerbi's another one. When Potter left, left Brighton, everyone went and thought, "Oh no, Brighton now they're going to get raided. Who's going to come in now? That's it. Like it might be Southampton all over again when Pochettino left. Look at what De Zerbi's come in and done. No one could have anticipated that. And for me, I believe just like this MacAllister deal, just like the deals we've done before, this club would have done their due diligence in terms of who could come in and sustain some sort of success, even if it was achieving top 4 for a certain amount of time and then being able to go and take us to a level where we can have some sort of sustained success, in my opinion.
The thing is, the only manager, my thing is as follows. It's not even like me being overly dramatic. The only 2 managers in the world currently available that have beaten Pep Guardiola to league titles are Mourinho and Klopp. Those are the 2 that have kind of active managers that have beaten them. If I'm trying to go up the hill again, my logic is very simple. I'd rather take the guy that took me up the hill in the first place. And when it comes to the whole FSG conversation, like, I know you guys are not biggest fans of FSG either, but when it comes to this whole thing, like, I just look at it from the perspective of Klopp has come out and say, do you think we will have bags full of cash and we will just say, no, I don't want this guy? So he's basically indirectly hinting that the issue is 100% monetary. So I look at, even this summer, I look at previous summers, stuff like that, that January window when we were top of the league in 2020, 2021, you look at all these scenarios and some of the scenarios are just monetary scenarios only. Some of them are not just Klopp's mistakes. When it comes to football, when it comes to substitutions, figuring out systems, all of that, I think Klopp 100% deserves criticism. And the thing is, for me, I agree with certain part of what Jerry's saying, because what Jerry's saying is we didn't fall off from second to like third. We did fall off quite badly this season as well. I don't think anyone at the start of the season would have went like, oh my God, Liverpool aren't going to get top 4. Even the most pessimistic person on earth at least had us in the top 4. So, like, I hear where you're coming from. The drop-off is just absolutely massive. But at the same time, I look at the manager market right now, and the manager market stinks. Look at Tottenham Hotspur. they're kind of in this in a mess, you know, and all of that. Who did they go get? Postecoglou, who was the former Australia manager that Jordan beat. Jordan, my country beat.
I just wanted to hear you pronounce his name.
Postecoglou is going to be the new. So you look at the manager market right now, and it just stinks to high heavens. So in my mind, like I'm not as far down the KDL as Kurdish is, or Adzes, who's even worse than Kurdish. I'm a bit more logical with it. I think when it comes to next season, I want to see us challenge and win the league title, because I think we've had way too many off years. You look at that injury ravaged season, we said off year, no problem. You know, the year after that, where we come close again, off year. This current season, off year. That's 3 off years in a row. Now, I'll be damned if I accept 4 off years in a row. And, you know, this is the argument me and Kurdish got into earlier on, where we spoke about rebuild, blah, blah, blah. I don't even think we're in a rebuild. The spine is already there. This ain't a rebuild. You know, when you have the spine and you just have to surround the spine with a couple of good players, I don't think rebuild is the word for it. Just before you guys go, let me just run through your super chats quickly. Klopp in focal, like a bunch of teens who got their first taste of Punani and can't see anything else beyond it. LFC, not Klopp FC. I can confirm that 100% Kurdish, you know, epitomizes that super chat. Arteta's squad game management was criminal last month, says here to there. Momo says Arsenal second by fluke. Lucky to get top 6 next year. Damn, that's a hot take, Momo, but we'll see. Arteta was back to 700 million in 3 years. And then this Arsenal fan comes back to back Klopp. He says, shameful the disrespect of Klopp. Arteta got 500 million and inherited Saliba, Martinelli, Saka from Unai. If Klopp got that backing, I think this is where, you know, the likes of Kurdish and Rax will argue regarding the whole monetary thing. And by the way, I'll make the same argument too. I think if we were backed properly, I really believe we'd be sat here minimum with 1 more league title. Minimum. I hope.
The only thing I just want to say... the only thing I want to say about look, is it possible that in some parallel universe Klopp leaves today, is it possible that we could find another diamond in the rough, or bring in another manager who could take us to... No, is it possible? Is there a chance?
Was Klopp a diamond in the rough when we got him? He was a diamond full stop.
Okay. He was a diamond. Okay. But anyway, regardless of that, could we find somebody? Could we bring in a manager who could come in, galvanize the squad potentially, and take on to bigger and better things? It's not impossible.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. I don't think it's particularly probable, at least at this stage. I don't think there's enough evidence from any of the other potential candidates to say that they can do that. And I'm not convinced that Klopp is a busted flush and that he can't take us back to the top. Another season can potentially change people's opinions. If we have another poor season next season, people's opinions will change. If someone like, I know, Sam, you're not a De Zerbi fan or whatever, but if De Zerbi comes along and does really well again, no, I forget the name. I'm just saying as an example. If he comes along and has another great season with Brighton, and they renew, and despite the fact they lose Caicedo and MacAllister, they bring in some other good players, and he's still playing brilliant football. You know, is someone like him a potential candidate? Maybe. What I'm saying is that
selection just got the biggest erection from you saying De Zerbi. He just got the biggest erection.
Listen, I don't want to take any credit. I don't want
Have
to
we not learned
credit
anything from the Potter
selection
thing?
erection? That's not my thing. But
Come
anyway, but all I'm saying is that I need to see more on both sides before I'm ready to twist. And I do back Klopp. I don't think you just like people should never put Steven Gerrard on a pedestal and say he can never be surpassed as Liverpool's best ever Premier League player. We should never say Klopp is untouchable. Klopp is touchable. Klopp does deserve criticism at times, and if things don't go well, ultimately the manager is the person who bites the bullet. Right? It's going to be a lot more difficult to get rid of FSG and people like that than it is to get rid of a manager if he's not performing well. If Klopp doesn't perform well, ultimately, to some extent, he will pay And yeah, there is some sentimentality, but I think that's not just the Liverpool thing. I think it's more of a traditional big club thing in England. Yes, Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, these kind of they're but it's a bit of a different mentality. And you can say yes, that mentality is right, that mentality is wrong, but at the same time, I think Klopp, if he had this same scenario, and if he was a Manchester United manager, or if he was an Arsenal manager, then and even if he was a Chelsea manager not under Roman Abramovich, he would be in the same position. They would have given him enough credit. He would have enough credit in the bank to stay at those clubs. Under Abramovich, obviously, that guy's a bit nuts. So that different story.
Big up Pablo, man. Big up Pablo. That's just typical Pablo stuff right here. He made us one at the start, and I'm like, man, you can do better, Pablo. And he came back with the good fellas as well. Then he photoshopped, the KDL as part of the good fellas. Big up Pablo, man. Big up. Gia, I know you want to say something earlier. Go on.
No, you know what it is, yeah? I'm just hearing bare hypotheticals. Like, if Klopp had money, if Klopp did this, I'll be honest, I don't care about any of that. Like, the reality of the situation is I can only deal with the facts and everything that's been put in front of you. Ultimately, everything that you have been given, however small, and obviously we can get into FSG or whatever. We already know these are the owners. Like it or lump it, it doesn't really make no difference. You got to still support Liverpool tomorrow, regardless of the fact that FSG are here. As much as we don't want them to be here, as much as we want new owners, and I fully get that. But the reality is, we can't in one breath look at Klopp like he's some miracle worker, as if to say we're some Aston Villa or he won the Premier League with Burnley level players. And sometimes I always think, do people forget that the players that we had when we won the league and the Champions League, this ain't Burnley, this ain't Leicester City. It's not like that season where you're like, right, where the hell did that even come from? That was just out of the blue, considering all the other teams that were obviously in the league, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham, and all of that, who were fighting obviously for the league at that point. We're acting as if we didn't have some of the, at that time anyway, some of the best players in the world, supposedly best goalkeeper, best defender, right back, right winger, all of these things that I've heard throughout the last few years. So when we look at that league title in itself, I'm always like, yeah, it was a fantastic league title. But to be honest with you, the momentum that we were coming off from the previous season, it was the next step. If he didn't win the league title that season, then he had to have gone way before all of that then, because then it would have been you're just a failure. You're genuinely just a failure. So if anything, he's even lucky himself that he was able to get that Premier League. I'm not dismissing that Premier League because we were fantastic that season. So when we look at Klopp in all, I feel like people move as if this is just out of the blue. So now he's on a pedestal. As much as we might not want him to put him there, and of course there's going to be, I pray in the future there's going to be another manager who comes in and does better than whatever Klopp does between now and the end of his time here. But now he's at that pedestal. So since he's won that Premier League, I'm not sitting here and thinking, well, I'm happy with everything that's kind of happened. Yeah, we've been, I think, third, second, almost won the league and all these kind of different things. But it's always been we're nearly there. Are you really that person who can take us to that next level? But as Jerry mentioned, we don't know. Rex asked the question about and you said the same thing, Sam, about the manager market, and Kurd, you said the same thing as well. This manager market thing, again, I feel like that's all a hypothetical that we're placing. When, let's be real, I've looked at other clubs and other managers at all these other clubs, for example.
I don't think that's hypothetical. That's the real world, bro. If he
but it can only be a hypothetical because you don't know. None of us here sitting here could literally put our hat on and say, yeah, no other manager could easily come in and do a better job. We don't know. We generally don't know. And I couldn't sit here and say that 100% and be like, yeah, I'm super confident that if Klopp was sacked tomorrow and whoever you want to bring in, whether it's Luis Enrique to De Zerbi to whoever, if they were to come in, there's no guarantees. Either it's going to get better, stay the same, or get worse. Those are your three options. If you get what I'm trying to say. So it's difficult to realistically say what's going to happen. Obviously, there's obviously facts behind some of the things that you guys are saying, and I fully get that. But we can't keep sitting here and living in this hypothetical world of, yeah, well, Klopp's the only guy that's out here. He's the only one who can potentially do this, that, and the third. As I mentioned before, you can tell the type of manager he is, and you can see what he needs in order for him to be the type of manager that he is. He isn't a manager that requires us to be like Manchester City, clearly, because he's won without being that type of manager. So I'm not going to judge him by those standards of, you know what, if he had Man City's backing, or if he had Arsenal's backing and this, that, and the third, who knows if he had that backing? He might buy players like Tsimikas. He might just buy more of those type of guys. I don't know. We wouldn't know until, I guess, that situation was to arise. So to sit here and then say, yeah, he can do this, that, and the third, ultimately, I still feel that another manager would be able to come in and get, I think it's just more about the flexibility within his own ability to do what he needs to do when the chips are down. I feel like that's always been like a sticking point for me with Jurgen Klopp. And I feel when he gets into those kind of moments, that's when you almost see like the real Klopp.
But even with Ancelotti, for example, G, when you know, Jerry alluded to it earlier, when the whole Klopp Ancelotti thing happened, I think Ancelotti, if I'm not mistaken, this is well documented. Apparently, he rejected Liverpool because of the whole FSG model thing. So when you're saying these names, like if you tell me Zinedine Zidane, right? I'm like, okay, fair enough. That's a risk, but that's a calculated risk. But I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, would Zinedine Zidane come into Liverpool and go like, yes, I'm okay with only spending this certain amount every summer, for example? That's the $1 million question here.
But Hussein,
go
on, G. No, wrong.
No, I was just going to say, at the end of the day, you got to realize, look at where we were when we were even looking at a Klopp, and like it made sense. Like the whole Klopp thing, the reason why you probably would have chosen Klopp, it just made sense. The guy's been at Dortmund. Dortmund are literally a carbon copy of Liverpool. They're not a club who spend money just like Liverpool. They're under that kind of model ownership where it's a sell to buy system. Ancelotti's never worked under that kind of system. So when we're looking, obviously, as Jerry said, yes, in terms of the name, I want Ancelotti. Obviously, during that period of time, I was like, I'd rather take him, because at that time, for me, you're talking about a bigger manager. A manager who's been there, done that, got the t-shirts to show for it. Whereas Klopp was still kind of, he was one of the up and coming, so to speak, like big managers who are already kind of out there, it's like underneath like a Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola kind of thing. But he was there as well. But Ancelotti was the guy. If Zinedine Zidane came in again, it's for me, it's just always hypothetical. Like we don't know. I'm not saying if Zinedine Zidane was to come and he said, yeah, I'll work underneath this restriction. Who's to say that he wouldn't come in and do a better job? Who's to say he wouldn't be able to get a better tune and be able to get Liverpool?
Would he say yes to working under the restriction?
That's
the thing.
Even that's a hypothetical, right? That's the whole. The whole
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's all hypothetical. Yeah. It's all, but again, it's just before you go, Kurt. It's like you're talking about all of these unrealistic. Would I say? Because Zinedine Zidane for me would be like an unrealistic kind of target. But the reality is, until we see all of this, I'm not going to sit here and just kind of agree and allow it to be like, okay, well, no other manager can necessarily come in, blah, blah, blah. Because again, if we still have these owners by the time that Klopp leaves, what do you do in that situation? Is it then everyone's going to be like, oh, well, Liverpool are just going to go down in the dumps? I feel like the tradition of this football club and its fan base is that once we get attached to something, that is it. We just get attached to it. We love it. We don't ever want to see it leave. If they do dare to leave, then it's like the Sterling situation. It's all of this like, I hate the guy, Michael Owen, like all of these things. But 2 seconds ago, you loved the guy. You know what I mean? 2 seconds ago, this was the guy that you guys were all jumping up and
Michael Owen signed for United. That's a non-forgivable.
No. But regardless, either way, no. Hold on, I haven't finished. Let me in. Like I said, 2 seconds before that, you loved him. Regardless of anything, you loved him because he was a fantastic player for
when
this.
He signed for Newcastle.
What he then does
well, just because of him.
Say that again.
Okay.
When he signed for Newcastle, I wanted Newcastle to do well just for him, and then he stabbed me in the back when signed for them.
But I don't want him to do well anywhere. I don't care about where he goes. Like it's up to him what he does with his career after that point. To be honest with you, like it's his career. But yeah, sorry, go on. Right.
Quick hypothetical. If Ancelotti had came in instead of Klopp, do you think we win more trophies? I don't necessarily think we do.
I think we have probably won more Premier League than we do now.
You think? Fair enough.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, we
think
definitely wouldn't have lost to Madrid in the Champions League. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's that too. There's that too.
the reason why I think we would have potentially won, and this is all hypotheticals again, is because if we had come in, it would have been under a certain requisite. Like there would have been a certain agreement in terms of, oh, I want this, I need this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come in anyway. So if we had got Ancelotti, it would have been the terms of it would have been agreed. Hence, he would have signed the contract. I think a funny thing is as well, and I know I've spoken about it before, and we talk about, Klopp not being backed, and, FSG haven't backed Klopp. He hasn't been able to sign his players. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Apart from Timo Werner, Tchouaméni, who obviously just chose Real Madrid, but we offered the money, right? And Bellingham, that just happened this summer. Klopp's got every big target that he's ever wanted.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, but he has.
What are we doing, Jerry? Come on, bro.
Who has he not got then? Who has he not got then? He's got Virgil van Dijk. He's got Virgil van Dijk where he broke the record. He got Alisson where he broke the record. He got Fabinho, which at the time for a defensive midfielder, I believe was actually the second highest most amount paid for a defensive midfielder. He went and he was able to get Naby Keita, the one he wanted to go and get. Name me other Nunez. We went and signed for 85 million. Name me, and this is what I'm talking about.
We're talking about, but we're not talking about in terms of in them situations. What we're talking about is backing him when he's needed backing. So when we got Canate, that was a season where he needed backing in January. Did they back him?
And I agree with that point. And if a deal couldn't have been done, we've seen it with Klopp before. He's wanted to wait. With Van Dijk, he done the same thing. He wanted to go and wait. It got messed up in the summer. We got him in January. Again, it's hypotheticals. We don't know for sure what's going on because guess what? Klopp's telling us in the summer that our midfield options are fantastic. Then to come out and say, sorry, guys, I was wrong, and we get Arthur Melo on loan. We went in for a midfielder at the beginning of the summer, ended up with a striker for 85 million. Then in the January, when we needed a midfielder, he went and signed Gakpo, who I'm not saying Gakpo hasn't been decent when he's come in, and I'm not saying he's not going to turn out to be great. But again, allocation of resources. And Klopp's always gone, and so it gets to a point, if you show me what you are, that's what you are. This idea, we speak about hypotheticals, I think, and I'm not alluding to you, but a lot of people have this idea that, Klopp's Oliver Twist is on his knees begging FSG, they're telling him you're not getting anything, they're starving him to death.
No way, you just used Oliver Twist. That's wild.
Exactly. For me, when I look at Klopp and I look at FSG, they work together really, really well. They worked together really, really well. And the only way they would have been able to be successful was if they worked really, really well together. If they didn't, it would have fell apart. And you could see, as soon as Michael Edwards has left, we've seen, Julian Ward come in. That relationship hasn't been as good. Everything in the backrooms, in behind the scenes, has been crumbling. That's affected everything that's going on at the club. But for Klopp to have done well, FSG had to work really, really well as well. Because Salah, as an example, he didn't want Salah. He wanted Mario Götze.
Big up Michael Edwards,
Julian Brandt, and we would have been left with those players. And I'm telling you now, none of us now, in hindsight, would say and be like, you know what, we would have been decent with Julian Brandt and Götze.
We don't know that. We don't know that, by the way.
No, exactly.
We know that.
No, we don't. We don't.
You know what's funny?
No, it's hypothetical. At the end of the day, we don't know that.
Julian Brandt got like a rare injury. I swear it was like after 2 months we didn't sign him. 2 months after that, he got like some sort of rare injury from a knee or something. That's why he never hit the heights.
But that's my point, is that we're talking about Klopp as if he's this miracle worker. FSG are the ones who employed Michael Edwards before Klopp came in. Bobby Firmino was there before Klopp came in. And yes, Klopp done wonders with Bobby Firmino, enabled to go and get the best out of him. I'm not taking that away from him. But this structure enabled Klopp to maximize himself in a way which he wasn't able to go and do at Dortmund for many reasons. So we're looking at a manager as well that has benefited from the system that's within which he's been in. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. It's like saying Salah's been great, but Klopp's had no impact on his career because he's just a player. Like, of course not. That's rubbish. Like Klopp creating the system has maximized Salah's potential. And that's why we're seeing the Salah we're seeing now, and not the Salah we saw at Roma or the Salah we saw at Fiorentina or even at Chelsea. So the strength
of the Liverpool system.
Pardon?
The strength of Liverpool over the last few years has been we've recruited well, like from backroom staff to front of house. Everybody's been pulling in the right direction. Everybody has made positive contributions. When that hasn't worked, which is especially last season, we've seen things falling apart.
And the season before.
Yeah. The season we finished, we finished second. And we got we went for the quadruple. I mean, we started off a little bit shaky.
We waited way too long. That Diaz transfer should have happened in September, not in January. I'm gonna be sorry. You know me and Max, by the way. I still remember our FSG arguments. Remember the whole well-run club thing. I never even disagreed with it. I just said, I wish. No, but I still remember. I just said, I wish we just do more of these signings. My problem was quantity. Like my thing was always like, I just wish we actually do the whole Moneyball thing and go get a midfielder. Like, and this is why, look, I'm balanced in this whole thing. My thing for keeping Klopp is he's taking me to the mountaintop before, so I want him to take me to the mountaintop again, and I expect of him to take me to the mountaintop. So next season, I ain't gonna sit up here and hug him forever. So next season, I expect us to win the league, and I think he should. But where he
are you, before you continue, for Sam, are you then judging him by now? Are you now judging him by different standards than you were judging him before now?
No,
is your expectation of him a lot higher than it was ever before?
No, I wasn't. This is my expectation. Last season, we won the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. I called the season a failure. We both worked on similar shows, and we both said, like I said, the season's a failure. We didn't win any of the big ones. This year, I look at this year, and I'm like, you know what, Klopp? I'm biting my tongue. I'm trying my hardest, But this year, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let it go. Yes, I've become a meme. Yes, Hussam has become a reaction meme now on Twitter, but I'm going to let it go. I'll be damned if I let it go 3 years in a row. So my thing is, next year, I expect of us to win the league. And I'm going to say this straight up. This is where me and
Kurdish disagree.
Okay, I'll tell you. No, listen. With all due respect, you can hold that. Because this is where we have to be balanced with this whole club conversation. Listen, the reason why Henderson got a contract extension, the reason why all these players are leaving on a free right now is Klopp's sentimentality. This is where we have to be balanced with this whole thing. Please don't tell me FSG sat down and went like, oh yeah, please don't sell Ox for money. Aren't they hungry money bastards? Why didn't they sell Ox then, or Keita, or any of these guys? Klopp is the reason why they're still here. So now, with all due respect, I couldn't care less if you get MacAllister, or you get Jude, or you get Barella, or you get Ward-Prowse, or you get Mojis from the comment section. The point next season, it's about winning the league. Because with all due respect, I look at the teams that have won the league over the last 10 years. I actually compare us now much closer to Chelsea than the teams who like fully fell off. And I'm going to tell you why. Chelsea won the league, dropped off, won the league. With us, even though we didn't win the league the year before, we were this close to winning the league. We have the spine still there. Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson, Thiago, Salah, these guys are all spine. If I'm surrounding that spine with good players, I don't even need them to be unbelievable players. If I surround them with good players, that is good enough to win the league. And you look at our results this season, I'm not even asking us to go to the Etihad and win. Bro, we beat Fulham at home, we beat Palace at home, we beat Palace away. All these dead teams, we lost to Wolves, Brighton, Brentford. We win these games. You're sat there, league champion. So this whole conversation of acting like we're so far away, we thought we were far away before we signed Suarez. All we did is sign Suarez, one guy. We thought we were far away before Alisson and Van Dijk.
Oh, but a guy.
But even
it's not like
listen. If we signed the equivalent of Suarez now, listen,
sure,
I'd be
different
all over.
It's not even.
We thought we had the ponytail Suarez. Turns out he's the ponytail,
Andy Carroll
from Uruguay.
Don't do that.
But okay, cool. But even what you're saying, yeah. And I disagree, because I do not think that we're going to win the league next season. I feel like we'll finish somewhere.
That's not a prediction. That's an expectation.
No. The expectation
to win the league.
No. Hold on. My expectation of Liverpool, I'll be honest with you, it isn't to win the league, because we're not the best team in the league. So why would I expect us to do something that we're not necessarily good enough to do? I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I don't expect us to win the league. There's a team that is light years ahead of us. So I'm going to expect them to win the league. If we win the league, it's more just a bonus, and it's going to just be more of a shock to the system. Look at when we won the Premier League. That was literally a shock to the system, because look at the point difference that we had from them and between us and them. It's not like we won the league where we were battling close with Manchester City and then we just picked them by 1 point and it was no, that wasn't a title race. That was just something that would never probably happen again. I don't
G,
expect us to
let me put the seed in your brain right now. Europa League football means no, I said seed in your brain. Come on, guys. Listen, I said here's the thing. Europa League football until April, no serious players playing. I think we're all in agreement. We ain't about to see Salah, Van Dijk.
But Hassam, it's like you've never watched Klopp before. You do not think that Klopp is going to go and try and win that competition. Like, you seriously sitting there thinking that we're not going to try and win it?
That's what I'm saying I don't expect us to see Van Dijk, Trent, Salah, Alisson in the Europa League group stages. So
I'll bet you £10 right now here on stream that we see 2 of those players in the group stages. I'll bet you £10.
We won't.
I'll PayPal you that money that we see 2 of those players.
Alisson is a banker. He's starting that game. Kelleher still, if
he's not.
He's only getting 2 games in the Carabao
Cup.
That's it.
You've seen Klopp. You've literally watched the guy for the last 7 years. Bro, I guarantee we are going to see whoever you just named there. I can guarantee
that's a Serbian team in the Europa League, by the way. I didn't even make it up. That's a real team, by the way.
But I guarantee we know Klopp. Like, we're acting like we don't know the guy. Like, this guy was the same guy in our last group game against, was it Nordirland in the Champions League? He played like a strong team, and then Diogo Jota got himself injured, and then we were all sitting there crying our eyes out. Like, we know what he's gonna do. Because at the end of the day, he's gonna look at it like, I kind of just want to win. If it's maybe the last group game that we don't need to win, then yes, I could probably back that and say maybe he won't play any of those guys because it won't mean anything at all, and it's the Europa League. If you're talking game 1 to 3, I can guarantee it. Like, I'll put any money on it that this guy will definitely play 2 to 3 of those main starters, and he'll dot it around. Remember, we don't have a banging team.
That's Champions League. That's
no, bro. We don't have a good team. Like, let's stop acting like Ben Doak and Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, Tyler Morton. But let's not act like these guys are of some level where we can just throw them into a team and try and like. They're like the cup game.
No, they're like cup game. Hold the manager to City standards, even though they're the players we have.
But this is what I'm saying, Kurt. This is what I'm like. How can we sit here and think we can compete with a team?
We can't.
Their substitutions are Foden,
are the Klopp outers
Grealish.
And Klopp inners both turning on me? What's happening?
No, because of what you're saying. Like, we're coming up against a team who their substitution is, let's take KDB off and we'll bring Phil Foden on, or we'll bring Bernardo Silva on. Like, but our substitutions, even if let's say we get Kefren Turam, Kone, and MacAllister, the substitution is. We're bringing either a Henderson on, unfit Thiago, a slow Fabinho, or a Tyler Morton, or a Harvey Elliott. Like, hear the names and hear the difference in quality when we're talking about the 2 teams. So when it comes to Manchester City, you can't bet against them.
Sorry, until April, I don't think we're going to take the Europa seriously until the knockout stage. So basically, we're going to have a game a week. And here's my thing. Listen, my thing is as follows. I'm not predicting us to win the league. I expect us to win the league. I'm going to hold Liverpool Football Club to that standard.
So what do you predict is going to happen next season then?
Okay, I'll tell you. With the whole top 4 thing, the reason why I don't think top 4 is an expectation, we're as shit as we are right now. We're only 4 points off top 4 as things stand. As crap as we've been this season. Think of all the shit times. We're only 4 points off it. So I'm not expecting us to go sign 4 players and then sit here and go like, oh, we're only going to be 4 points better off. Like, I just think that's illogical. I expect us to be a lot better next season, and we must recover because this isn't the real Liverpool. This season was a horrible anomaly in terms of how bad we sunk. We have sank before, but not this bad. Like, we sunk this year. So for me, when I look at Jurgen Klopp, I expect him to deliver the league title next season, regardless of whatever the fuck happens this summer. Because he got us in this position to begin with from his arrogance last summer and his negligence. So he has to fix it now. Simple as.
The thing is, Hussam, I'll go on, Curtis.
So there was 2 points for me. When G mentioned about Henderson coming on, next season we might be one of the few teams in the world that actually gets worse when we bring subs on than we do. With our starting 11, and I thought, do you know when Pep Guardiola does that? Have you seen the meme when he falls to his knees? That's the realization I just had. Jordan Henderson coming on in the 70th minute. Oh my goodness, where do we go from here? So that's the first part.
To lose?
What else does he do? What else does he do? And the second part, Listen, I think again we know that I am FSG out. It's in my blood, but I think we're giving them a lot of credit on this stream. I'm sorry, JJ, bro. I think you're being extremely generous and extremely complimentary of them. I think if we look at the patterns before Jurgen Klopp, and we look at the pattern during Jurgen Klopp, it's very clear to see. I understand there's a structure and I understand there's everything else in place, but actually the person that makes everything tick is in the back room and everything else, because we saw that before Klopp and it wasn't ticking. The person that has made it all tick is Jurgen Klopp. And I think actually I understand that the bad season, I understand the success that hasn't been as good as it should have been or what should have been expected. But I think we're doing a little bit of disservice to him. I think even when he was at Dortmund and he finished at Dortmund, there was a reason why every team in the world wanted him. He was, if it wasn't, as you said, if it wasn't for Ancelotti, it was Klopp, Pep, Ancelotti. They were the three names that were the most demanded in world football. And I think that remains today. And the reason for that is because Jurgen Klopp is a manager that has proven, even at Dortmund with limited resources, he can do so well.
Was that more not just before you continue? Was that not just more just due to them, like he was the only other manager available? Like I don't feel like there was another manager alongside, other than him and Ancelotti. I can't remember any other manager back then.
It was mid-season. It was mid-season. It was October, November time.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Was he not on a sabbatical? No, when we got
he
him,
was on a sabbatical. He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't looking for work.
No, but I mean, when I say available, I mean the only managers who are free to necessarily get, not like not in a job.
No, but that was only after what he did with Dortmund as well. That's why he became one of the most sought after prospects.
Yeah, and he stunk in his last season. He absolutely stunk like shit in his last season.
Yeah, but
that's with Dortmund, by the way. Dortmund, like he stunk with Dortmund.
Then
we want him to try and do.
That's my.
My thing
ever
is,
since then, Bayern's won every league title. Go on, Carlos.
My thing is, I look at it, and for me, it's quite easy to see. We had 4 to 5 years before Klopp under these owners, and the pattern showed actually what we are under these owners because of the way we run. Whether you like it or not, financially, we are run like a top 8 team. We're not run like a top 2, top 3 team financially. I'm not saying the background structure. I understand the structure is done to a very good level, but the actual finances within themselves, we are run like a top 8 team at best. And under these ownership, under this model of ownership, under Michael Edwards, under all these things, in 5 seasons we got top 4 once. So there's a pattern there for me. And all of a sudden I brought Klopp into the equation. Everything else stayed the same, and we became a top 4 consistent team. If I take Klopp out of that again, I do not have the belief, not just that they will find the right manager, but it's all, not just that they will back the manager, but it's even to believe that they will find the right manager. That's my thing. I'd like to know, especially JJ, from your perspective, bro, where does the belief in FSG come from that they could find the right man? Where does that belief come from? Because when I look at Klopp, I would say it's the safest gamble you can take for their model. Does that make sense? The closest thing that you could guarantee with their model was Jurgen Klopp, because Dortmund. So if I take Jurgen Klopp out of that equation, and I've seen what they do, what makes you believe they can go find someone else that could do the job?
Because we've seen.
Just sorry, JJ, before you do go, Kurt, who are the managers, or Rax or Sam? Who are the managers that we had under FSG prior to Klopp coming?
Rodgers, Dalglish,
and Brendan,
and what's
and
his face?
Kenny.
No,
Kenny.
and
any of those managers,
and the other idiot, the Crystal Palace
Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson. No.
I chose to ignore that time. I can't lie to you.
Yeah,
okay.
He was.
Well, I thought he was under the old rig.
Oh, okay.
Any of those managers of any level, like at all? So the reason why I ask you that is that anybody who was even just an ounce better was going to do better. Obviously, maybe not this good. I'm not dismissing it, but we're talking about, we keep comparing Klopp to Rodgers, Dalglish, and whoever, I can't remember the third person that we said.
No,
we're not comparing Klopp to this. This isn't like Pep Guardiola being compared to like a Mancini, Pellegrini, and these that, like, we're comparing him to Roy Hodgson and
that's my thing,
Kenny Dalglish.
But Rodgers would be equivalent. Rodgers would be equivalent to like a De Zerbi now. Rodgers would be equivalent to like a De Zerbi.
No, he wasn't.
He
No,
would.
no, he
Come
wasn't.
on,
Yeah.
G.
Yes,
No,
he
no,
would.
no.
Come
He
on.
wanted-
Right.
No,
he wanted-
no,
he
it
wanted-
wasn't.
he wanted-
No,
he
no,
wanted-
because
Rodgers at
he
Swansea
was at
had just as much
he was at
hype.
Swansea.
no,
and
at
they
Swansea,
didn't they win the
Swansea,
Carabao
because
Cup?
Zerbi's
Swansea
look
were
what
playing
Yeah.
Barcelona football, finishing
yeah,
top
No,
10, top
but
half.
look what De Zerbi was doing in Italy,
Barcelona
though. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Bro, they were calling
He was
Joe
at
Allen
Reading.
the Welsh family.
Brendan
Look at
Rodgers.
doing it.
Listen, Brendan Rodgers
Come
was at Reading before. He then went to Swansea and had that season where they did. I don't think they even achieved top 8. I think they were like 10th or 11th in that season, and then
It
we
was
went and signed him.
Jogabito, as
No,
Sam
I think-
says, Jogabito football and all that
I
under
think
Brendan
we
Rodgers.
have to
That's what
remember.
Swansea, Jerry. Swansea.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was
Yes.
Laudrup who won the cup. It wasn't Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, it was Laudrup. He didn't win the cup.
It was Laudrup who won the
Laudrup.
cup.
No, I'm
won
not
the
even
cup.
talking about the cup. I'm talking the style of football, and they finished top
Yes.
half of the table.
Yeah, but that's my
As
point.
Swansea
What
City.
we did. Yes.
Is Swansea City better than the Brighton that we're seeing today? No way are
No
we
way.
saying that the Swansea City of
Hey,
them.
you
No,
man,
they're
you
not,
man.
but
Oi,
that's
the
the
streets
point.
aren't forgetting Swansea under Rodgers. You man aren't being
Yeah.
fair here.
I mean,
Hey,
it's still
he had
relative.
I'm not saying they were theirs. I'm
Me too,
definitely not saying that they
Swansea
were
was
theirs.
better. Me
This is-
too,
but this is-
Swansea was better.
Hey.
This
This is 12 years ago.
Me too, Swansea
This
was
is
better.
12
They
years
had that
ago,
striker as
and-
well. His name was like Graham something as well. I still
Graham,
remember.
Danny Graham,
Danny
Danny Graham,
Wayne
Danny
Routledge,
Graham.
and Danny Graham, Wayne Routledge, and Nathan.
Didn't they have
Dyer.
Nathan Dyer at a point? I'm sure they
Exactly.
Hey, big up Nathan
look, they
Dyer,
were
G
playing-
Their
himself.
midfield was like
G's
Joe
long
Allen.
run to him.
There's another guy as well, their captain.
Someone else said that as well to me.
Yeah, I was saying they were playing good football, but they were essentially what Wigan were. Like they were low in the table, but playing good football. And Liverpool said, we could go and get them, and maybe we can try replicate that. And yeah, it did, but it didn't propel us to any level. The pool that Liverpool had, being new owners, not having a history of football, you can't just go and try grab any single manager, especially when you haven't got the funds to go and do that. Right now, the position that Liverpool are in is a completely different position than Liverpool were in 7-8 years ago, where you're looking around for scraps and you're like, you know what? Maybe we do go and sign, just take a gamble on Andy Carroll because it might work. And we're not in that situation anymore. Look at the players that we're signing. People are telling me that every player that we've signed now is the best in the world. The best in the world. When Nunez signed, Nunez is going to have a better season than Haaland. When Diaz signed, Diaz is the best left winger.
Kurdish is good to hear that.
Yeah, right winger, Salah, of course, the best. We've got Van Dijk, who's the best. Alisson's the best. Our right back's the best. The left back's the best. Everyone's the best, right? Everyone's the best. But then we look at our team and then say, you know what? Actually, we can't do this and use this underdog status. We have a look at our players and say, you know what? These players are garbage. And when you look at the players that we had at Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers, they were garbage. We had Flanagan and Kolo Touré at the back. Like we
I'm sorry, but if you can get Liverpool second with Flanagan at the back, boy, I need to start giving you more praise. We
had Flanagan, we had Skirt, we had
Flanagan wasn't even that bad that year.
We're not even going to do Flanagan prop. We're not even going to do Flanagan prop.
Listen, I still remember Cafu.
No, we can't do that. Hey, that's
Listen,
We're not doing Flanagan prop on the stream. No way.
Cafu was supposed to
Listen, we had Ali
Sissoko in that.
We had Ali Sissoko at left back doing
the
garbage crosses and making Suarez scores headers from outside of the box, and we were winning games. Listen, that you can't compare the resources that our club had compared to now. And regardless, yeah, I agree. We don't spend the way City can. We're not going to have that money. We haven't got state ownership, and we'd all love it. I'd love oil money. It would be amazing. And I mean, I'd love it. But what I'm saying is, we're now in the market where we're buying centre backs like Konate for 50 million, whatever, and they're not guaranteed starters because when Matip was playing a lot of the games until Konate got into the team, we had the luxury of having Fabinho on the side, and he doesn't have to just come straight in. He can go in and take until January until he can pop off. Naby Keita can be in the medical room having physio sessions after physio sessions in the basement, doing whatever he wants to do. Do you know what I mean? And we're not even, the Klopp's not even, he's not even pressurized to be like, you know what, we need to get a midfielder in. He's comfortable in saying, you know what, it's fine. We've got Curtis Jones that can come in. We've got Milner that can come do a job. We still have Henderson, and we've got Oxlade-Chamberlain. Like, we're in a completely different situation. So for me, it's the same way you're saying we just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know how well FSG are going to work now because we're in a completely different situation in terms of the wages that we spend on players, that the fact that we're able to keep our players as well. Think about the players we had before. Every player was leaving.
What I would say is our recruitment more recently has been more questionable than it has in the past. Whether that's down to Klopp or whether that's down to Michael Edwards not being there or whether that's down to Julian Ward not doing his job or whatever. Again, it's not entirely clear. We do know that Klopp has had a significant amount of input, but again, whether that's changed, whether his input's changed, whether he's been more forceful recently than he was in the past, we don't know. Those are all question marks.
Yeah, for me.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. Go on.
Yeah, just before I head off, I think for me, just to summarize, it's just as Hussam said, my expectation, I agree. I don't think Liverpool are going to do it, but my expectation for Klopp, because of how highly I rate him, because of how highly I rate the players, it's league or bust. And even I'm talking about, and it's if we're 2-3 points off, for me, even I don't know about Hussam, but for me, I get it. I'm like, you know what, you can't win all the time. I get it. There's things that happen.
I don't get it. I'm worse
why
than
couldn't
you.
we go
I'm
and
like,
spend?
you have to win.
Yeah, but for me,
all this finishing second, I'm tired of that shit, man.
I'm tired as well. But you have to win. But then I throw this out at everyone. It's October, and we're nowhere near winning the league. Then what? Are we mortgaging another season, battling for top 4? We don't get it, and then what? Then going back to Kodish's point, we're really trying to go back to the times of, when we were in the Europa League and we're looking at players playing for, like Gaston Ramirez playing for Bologna, thinking, maybe he can be
no.
I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation.
He went to Middlesbrough, right? He went to Middlesbrough. He went to Middlesbrough.
He went to Southampton.
Southampton,
then Middlesbrough, and a big
but that's my point.
Graziano Pelle.
For me, I know it's a scary proposition, but I'm looking at Arsenal, and people talk about it like it's mad, right? But Arsenal getting top 4 consistently, they were still able to go and get the likes of Alexis Sanchez and from us. Liverpool wanted it. We couldn't get that. He wanted to go to Arsenal. Mesut Ozil came to. We couldn't get that. Aubameyang, we couldn't get that. If we go and miss top 4 out twice, we're going to Groningen and looking at players over there saying, you know what, maybe we can get this right back and maybe he can. And we're going back to the times of Brendan Rodgers and Kenny Dalglish. And I don't want to be like that. So for me, there's no guarantees that we can go and get top 4, especially I'm looking at how Newcastle have played this season. I'm looking at United, how they've done this season. They had a shocking end to the season.
If it's October and we won 5 and lost 5, I'm no longer KDL. All this KDL crap, I'm done with it. I'm gonna be sorry with you because
sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna defend Klopp for
surrounded
That's
by
my
snakes.
I'm just listen. Kurdish, with all due
I'm
respect,
just shake him off me, man.
Kurdish, Klopp is not my wife. Kurdish, Klopp is not my wife. He should deliver the Premier League next season. That's as simple as all this BS.
One thing I wanted to ask here, and obviously just because I see people asking about it. Look, the reality is I don't like the football that he's played since he got here. I feel like his style of football is it's one of those, it will allow you to, for like a season or 2, you can maximize whatever it is, the potential of the players that he's got, which is fantastic, which is obviously won us a Champions League. And then in that same season, we will close. And next year, we obviously won the Premier League, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And then I've seen outside of those years, the style of football that he does have isn't really conducive for us to be able to sustainably keep winning. And he's not someone who's going to necessarily change. What I wanted to ask everybody was, do you think that Klopp's the type of manager who develops players or maximizes the potential or maximizes the output of the players that he actually has? Or is he a manager who can actually really develop the players that he has? Because if you think he's a manager who can just maximize, then he's never going to be a manager that's going to keep continuously winning, because that's going to take time for him to maximize the output of those players anyway. So Kefran Turam, MacAllister,
I think he does both.
Whoever, you think he does both? You think that he's actually developed some players here at this football club? Okay, I'm just, that's what I wanted to ask. Like, what everyone, because
who do you think, out of curiosity?
Trent is definitely developed. Robertson's definitely developed. Salah's definitely developed. Mane is developed. Firmino's developed.
Do you think they developed, or they just maximize their actual output? They can actually
he developed. Let's not forget Firmino in the last game under Brendan Rodgers played right wing back away at Old Trafford.
Yes, he did.
That is how horrible we were using Firmino. So
I'm not saying every player. I'm just naming players.
But not only did we use them right, no one expected Firmino to be able to work as a false 9. So
no, this is the thing, because at Hoffenheim he wasn't. At Hoffenheim he was
number
more of
10.
an architect. Yeah, an architectural kind of goal scorer, arriving late in the box, and he had
but
great
that's
goal
not
scoring
false
numbers.
nine.
Yeah, but that's not false nine exactly. So that was an evolution.
That's like playing
of
Odegaard
his role.
false nine. That won't work.
Yeah.
A quick one. The reason why I say that, I wanted to just move on, like develop G's point is, do you feel that a lot of our players could go on somewhere and make, bar Salah, like I think Salah could still do it. Do you think they could still go and be great players in other teams? Because for me, I look at our players, and if they leave Liverpool, it just falls apart.
I think there are
literally like they all just become shit all of a sudden. You're like, how do you go from being Coutinho that we know today?
Doesn't that tell you how good the manager is? Doesn't that just?
I think Axton would be unbelievable elsewhere. I think
in regards to maximizing players, but when you look at, for
Van
example,
Dijk, Konate, I think Thiago would be great. Thiago actually became worse here. I think.
But Thiago's a different one.
He's kind of he's a bit like
Salah would do good. Gakpo would do good. I think they all would do good away from Liverpool.
But do you think Gakpo's a better?
Just because we sold that guy to Bayern and he's going to end up in China, that does not mean that everyone else.
There you go.
There's Mane, there's Coutinho.
He's won more titles than Salah this year, but nobody wants to have that conversation.
Oh, Bayern Munich.
We'll have that conversation soon.
But you were telling me he's not won a title, and then you told him now he's won the title. Now he's won a title. It's just he was at Bayern Munich. But you were telling me he's not going to win it at Bayern Munich. That's what you were telling me. But you were telling me.
But I have to say,
that's
listen,
what
I
you
have
were
to
telling
say
me.
congratulations to Chopo.
Can you tell me? Can you tell me what happened?
African player at Bayern Munich.
Tell me what happened.
And scoring more goals.
Why are you skipping?
The failed Stoke City striker has scored more goals at Bayern Munich.
Hey, now respect Choupo-Moting, boy. That guy seems to do his thing for some weird.
Can you tell me why you told me that Bayern Munich are not going to win the league with Mane and Mane's won the league?
I don't even watch that shit league.
Yeah, no. Did Salah win the league this year?
I don't even watch that shit league.
Did Salah win the league? Did Salah win the league?
If Salah went to Bayern Munich, he'd be on 48 goals in that shit league.
Okay.
He wouldn't have less goals than Colin.
Fortune reading is haram in Islam. You shouldn't do fortune reading. That's
not fortune reading. That's predicting the future.
Don't do that. I just want to know though, how many league titles does Salah have? How many league titles does Salah have?
Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We're gonna read out the super chats real quick before we wrap it up here, because this conversation, I can't lie, we need a part 2 of this. This was a very good conversation. Kurdish decided to finally speak when Mane was mentioned. But, we have to say to Mane, thank you for all your services. Ni hao, my brother. Big up, my guys. Jurgen is going to cook next season. There is no one as good as him available. However, he must deliver next season. Back the lads. I think me and Ryan are in agreement. I think Ahmed as well on the space. Big up, Ahmed was on agreement as well. We have to deliver. Excuses are no longer a thing. It's not prediction, it's expectation. Even me and Jerry agree on this. Expectation. You have to expect to win the league. And if you fail, we'll have that conversation then. Facts can be manipulative to fit any situation, says Joe. I think he was referring to one of G's comments as well. Big up, Joe.
That's like anything, though. I can manipulate facts.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true about anything. That's true. FSC are good owners. They turned LFC into one of the most profitable clubs in the world with a sustainable model and tons of success on it. Kenneth, ladies and gentlemen, is a Man United fan. Kenneth is the Man United fan, for all people wondering. And when it comes to the sustainable model, clearly it ain't sustainable because we're out the top 4 and we're crap. So ain't no sustainability there, my brother. Gagandeep, big up to you. He says, issue is there isn't a manager out there who can guarantee success under this ownership model off the back of their previous jobs done, like Klopp at Borussia Dortmund time parallels his time at LFC. I agree with you. And that's my simple logic for this whole conversation. I think there needs to be a point in time where we criticize Klopp 100%, hold him accountable. I don't even have a problem with people asking for him to be sacked. My thing is as follows. He's taking me to the mountaintop. I'm going to give him one final opportunity. Take me to the mountaintop again. If you don't,
but then he fell. But then Hussam, you fell. You took me to the mountaintop and you fell. So why am I gonna trust that you can get me back up there? So when you get back up there, you're gonna fall again? Like, what's the point of you taking me back up there? Let me try something.
Here's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Next season, he has to take us to the mountaintop. I'm not gonna sit here. That's why I'm not gonna be accepting of top 4. Us signing 4 players, and then you tell me we're gonna be 4 points better off. Okay, and like Rax could have done that as the manager. Like, what were we doing here? Yeah, respect to Rax, man. Respect to Rax. Big up to Gagandeep. I mean, says I can see Henderson starting with 2 new midfielders. I mean, I know you're a full-time troll, but that
No, listen, I
unfortunately
fully
could
see
be a
that.
reality as
I
well.
fully see that. It's going to be.
Yeah,
No, I
first
see
game of
one.
the season.
I
First
think
game of the
Fabinho,
season.
Hendo still start next season.
Hassan, I
see
told you
him-
I want to bet you. I'm going to bet you that £10 is that we are going to have 2 of those starters starting in the group stages. I'm telling you now. I'll pay for it.
I don't count Henderson as a starter. I think Henderson can start in the Europa
No,
League.
no. I'm talking whoever you consider to be a starter. I like you name your starting 11 for next season, and I guarantee 2 to 3 of those.
Okay,
will
I'm
start
saying
a
our
minimum of 2 games.
spine: Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Salah. I don't think those 4 100%.
You're missing out players on purpose. You're missing out players on purpose.
Fabinho is
like-
part of the spine, Hussam. Like
No, forget
just
even
by
Fabinho. You missed out
No.
Robbo. Like, what about the
We're
Gakpo
gonna
or
find
Diaz?
3 midfielders.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but they're not coming to replace Fabinho.
I think they will.
I don't know.
We'll see. That might happen. That
We'll
it could
see.
happen.
I
I
mean,
don't
if
know.
Kone and Thuram happen, then I think we're probably going to be relying on a double pivot defensively anyway. And then you've got MacAllister and Thuram up front, on as the offensive eights with Trent and what's his name, Kone tucked in, basically distribute the defensive work. I think that's a possibility, to be honest.
Well, you think Klopp's gonna drop Fabinho like for a prolonged a
I
season?
expect Henderson
relegate him.
to start in the Europa League. I expect Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Joe Gomez, Matip, Tsimikas, Kelleher, all these guys to start in the Europa League group stages. I'm looking at next season as 1 game a week. That's why I want us to deliver. And with all due respect, fuck the Europa League anyway. Go win me the league title, man. When Klopp goes, the club is banjaxed unless FSG stumble their way into another generational manager. There's a guy who sent in a super chat after you, who sat here, who's been twerking for De Zerbi for the longest. Like, we are not going to sit here and actually learn from Brighton's mistakes, from Chelsea's mistakes, with hiring Graham Potter, who laid the whole foundation for De Zerbi anyway. And they absolutely sucked. So this whole De Zerbi, will De Zerbi command the respect of the dressing room? Is he going to take Mo Salah and go like, I'm going to show you how to play like Danny Welbeck? Like, what are we doing here, bro? Let's have a little bit of self-awareness of the club that we're at. Klopp maximizes attackers. I don't think he develops players. You want to see an attacker, go place, give him to Jurgen. If it's a midfielder, run from him. But I disagree with that because Gini Wijnaldum played his best football for Jurgen Klopp. Henderson played
But
his
you
best
just said
football.
Thiago has gotten worse since he
But
joined.
that's one example. See, now this is what I'm at.
No, but we're talking about good. If you're a good midfielder out there, and he's probably the only good midfielder that we probably ever signed, I wouldn't tell him to come to Liverpool because you saw the result. You see the result.
Jordan Brian Henderson was nominated for Player of the Year.
I don't care about no Player of the Year, whatever from Jordan.
Yeah, in 1920, people looked at Henderson like, "Oh, Henderson gets into our combined 11." Like, "Oh, I'd want Henderson."
Yeah, but that's
I still remember one of the
revision.
first shows I did with Jay, the Irish guy from the United stand. Big up to him. And I'm like, who would you, if you could choose one guy to take from Liverpool, who would you take? He's like, Henderson. I wish I was like, I wish I just sent him Henderson back at the time, to be honest with you. But it is what it is, man. He's improved. I think he's improved and developed players and maximized certain players as well. Like, he's elevated players, bro. Mane, Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, Alisson. We've seen these guys in World 11s on podiums when it comes to Ballon d'Ors. And like, this is just not something.
But that's not necessarily developing them. He's just maximize what they could always do.
I think he's developed Salah. 100% he's developed Salah. Salah has 100% been developed at Liverpool Football Club, and we have to thank Klopp for that.
I don't know, man. I still don't. I don't. You know, we're gonna agree to disagree. I just don't feel like he's. I don't look
Salah
at anyone
on the shit at Roma or Fiorentina.
He was on job at Roma and Fiorentina. That's why we signed the guy in the first place, because he was on job at those clubs. He was just on job at a smaller scale.
He was like the Wilf Zaha of the Serie A.
No. Like, look at the level that you're putting, man. Bro, he was on job at Fiorentina. He was on job when he got to Roma in that season, just the season before.
Sadio Mane wouldn't say he elevated his goal scoring abilities.
Listen, Sadio Mane weren't bagging in like 20, 25 goals a season, Like, he was still probably getting the same kind of level he was probably getting at Southampton. Maybe just a little bit more increased, a little bit more. Plays for Liverpool
in the Premier League, Sadio Mane. Fastest hat
for Southampton.
Yeah.
For Southampton. Yeah, for Southampton. Do you know what I mean?
This guy comes off mute. I thought you. Kurdish, I thought you liked Klopp more. You were supposed to be the KDL leader. I didn't realize you're the MDL leader. What's going on here? Every time Jerry and G have been crucifying Klopp all video long, you're quiet. One Mane comment. Oh, I'm off mute. Oh, Sadio Mane.
I gotta respect one of the few players in my team that's won 2 league titles. I have to respect that.
2 league titles where?
Something your boy wouldn't understand.
Germany and
leave my guy alone, man. Leave my guy alone.
That's a different conversation, isn't it?
Yeah. So using that logic, respect to James Milner, won a league title with City.
James Milner, big up James Milner and Sadio Mane. Mohamed Salah dreams about 2 league titles.
See how he's just
conversation.
He's just
Hey, Curtis, you're shameless.
No one with sound reasoning thinks Mane is better than Salah anymore. That conversation died, just like Mane's hairline.
Whoa. Did you say no one thinks that Mane is better than Salah?
Right now?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. I don't think he's better than Salah. No. Salah's way better than Mane. Yeah.
Come on. We'll have this.
Kurds, we're not even going to do this because we're wrapping up the show. But Salah
we're wrapping it up. Final super chat before we end it. Felipe, who's a Bayern fan. Mane is a bum. Salah's clear of that trash. Listen, Felipe, thank you for the super chat. But big up to Mane. I'm not going to insult the guy. Big up to him. Some people have to just buy Chinese league subscriptions. Big up to Yanis Georgiadis, who says, Forza Inter, Habibi. The heart says Inter will win. 100% next week. It's Forza Inter all the way throughout. It's just how it goes. So, we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. This has been an absolutely unbelievable show. Listen, I think we need a part 2 for this. But before part 2, I need Kurdish to have a sit down with Tom Little, kick his ass first, figure out which side of the flip-flop he's on now. So we can actually add him to this panel. And I need to do this a bit earlier as well. These 11 p.m. shows, I can't lie to you. I'm ending these things at like 2:36 a.m. local time. So it's just going late into the night. And I know, guys have work and stuff like that. But thank you for all of you guys for tuning in. There's still 250 people watching us. Make sure you all slap the like button. Make sure you all subscribe to the channel if you're yet to do so. Every single person watching us right now or on the replay, please like the video. Please subscribe to This Is Football. Big up to Chombe, Momo, Felipe, Here to There, Doc 18, Joe, Ryan, Kenneth, Gagandeep, Amin, Payrad, Selection, and Yanis for the super chats. Big up to you guys. Slap the like button, subscribe. We're going to go around the lovely panel. They're going to let you know where you can find them. Jerry James, welcome back. Where can people find you?
On the Jerry James Show on all socials, so Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Stay connected. Click the notification bell to stay updated because there's some big things coming on the channel, man. Some interesting stuff. So just not had a lot of shows on there in the past week, but when it drops, it's going to be good, man. So look forward to seeing all you guys there, and big up to obviously Hassan for having me on, and make sure we're smashing the like on the video as always.
Why are we on the bottom anyway? Why are me and Jerry not on the top? I don't understand.
Because we're bottom reds, isn't it? I love it.
No,
I love
no,
crazy.
No. Look
at the biasness. Crazy.
First of all, don't do that because the only top red here is Rax. Second of all,
Hassam's definitely a top red. Hassam, come on, you're top.
He's showing his true colors.
No. You guys are the Klopp outers. If I put myself next to you, they'll go like, "Oh, Hassam, you're Klopp in. Why are you?" So I just to please these. There's 3 angry assholes in every comment section. G, where can people find you, my brother?
Catch me GTV. Catch me on there. G keeping it G on Twitter. Jerry James Show. Hopefully back here with Sam at some point. We will be having a part 3 and 4 of this. I guarantee it before the end of next season. So make sure you stay tuned. And man, big up everyone in the chat, man. Everyone's opinions and whatnot. It's been funny reading some of the comments. And obviously big up Kurds and big up Rex. 2 people that I respect quite a lot. So man, big up yourself.
Big up, G, man. Always welcome back, you and Jerry. I think what we learned today is we need a Salah Mane video as well. There's going to be a long ass summer.
It will turn into fire.
I'm ready, bro. You see that specific debate.
Yeah, that's fine. You can be Team Mane over there. Be Team Mane over there.
You know it's about Mane, man. You're not back in your bedroom, man.
Don't even. You know what? I'm not going to get triggered. I'm not even going to get triggered. Kurdish, where can people find you, brother?
Hey man, big up as always. Sorry I was a little bit late, man. I apologize. As always, subscribe to This Is Football, hit like, You'll find me on the Spaces, man. You'll probably find me somewhere on Twitter, losing my head every morning at Liverpool's actions.
Oh,
It
Kurt, I'm
seems-
loving the conversations that you're having recently. Today's one
Hey.
comment that you left on that page, I'm not going to say it on stream, but Jesus, that was
Gee,
pretty good.
some people aren't liking it. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter as always. Like I say, subscribe to This Is Football. It's KurdishBall93 on Twitter. And yeah, man, look forward to a couple of more with these guys. I'm sure this Klopp in, Klopp out will be going on for a long time. So big up the panel as well, man.
Big up, man. Big up. Rax, where can people find you, my brother?
Here, obviously. Thankfully, no more therapy sessions, at least for another few months until at least next season starts. But hopefully there won't be too many of them next season. And yeah, a few other YouTube channels dotted about and Spaces, which I've been meaning to get back to. I've been off for a bit. So yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Kind of like Rax says he's gonna get back to the Spaces more times than like.
I know.
You know what? I was gonna say something, but I'm not even gonna say it. By the way, results of the poll: 70% Klopp in, 30% Klopp out. I kind of like you guys managed somehow to pull in 30% of the votes, which is still a massive number. So
good,
we'll
man.
see.
Me and Jerry are hoping that we can get to at least 45 by October. If we get to 45, I reckon there'll be a shift in what people.
I'm hoping we're top of the league in December and it becomes 100% Klopp in. That's what I'm hoping for. But it is what it is, man.
Well, I'm saying October. If we're in October and we're 5th, scary settings.
I want all three of you to explain yourself. I want all three.
Jerry and
what it is?
I know
So
these
Sam's
two.
hair will be growing back. It will be growing back.
Oh yes,
Equally as long. It's going to be crazy. Listen.
These
Sam,
two,
do we have a date? Do we have a date? When is that happening? Or you waiting to release that?
No, it's just when the Bellingham transfer gets announced, I'm gonna do it.
Oh,
I exactly know what Jerry and G are on. They're gonna gatekeep the Klopp out movement. Let me tell you, they're gonna gatekeep that shit. I'm telling you, right?
No, it's a members only club. Like once you're connected,
yeah, real talk is a members only club.
It's a blood tie.
Yeah,
this is unbelievable. Hey, I'd rather wait and see. Anyway, Habibis, yalla, we see you tomorrow, guys. Inshallah. Peace.